r/AskReddit. What is your not so fun fact? Horses can't throw up. If they need to throw up, they'll die. At some point the number of yesterdays you've had will be greater than the number of tomorrows you've got left. Dolphins can be sexually attracted to you and will definitely try to do something about it. There's a serial killer in my state. Bodies have been found dumped in the same way in the same spot a few miles south of me. It's not been reported to the news at all, but there's public police reports that all describe the same thing. People go about their daily lives in the surrounding neighborhoods and even hike in the park every day. None of them have a clue or something close to a hint that tells them they could stumble upon a body in those woods. There is a condition in which damaged tissue is replaced by bone. People with this condition are slowly consumed by their own skeleton and have to choose which position they want to spend the rest of their life in after a certain point. The reason we know that your body is 70% water is that during World War II, the Japanese took a few Chinese prisoners, weighted them, and stuck them into a giant convection oven. They then weighed the human jerky remains and found them to be around 70% lighter than before. Other people hear your voice like it sounds when recorded. Andy was a goose who was born without feet on a farm in Nebraska. He was disabled for the first 2 years of his life until an inventor called Gene Flemings heard about his disability and decided to create a new method of movement for him. He initially tried to teach Andy to ride a skateboard, but eventually settled on teaching the goose to walk in baby-sized sneakers. Since Gene worked with a local charity for disabled children, Andy became a role model and even caught the eyes of the media, with Nike offering a lifetime supply of shoes and the pair featuring on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Andy disappeared on October 19, 1991, and was later found with his head and wings torn off. The perpetrator was never found. There's probably a chance you've passed by a murderer at least once in your life. One of the most common ways to get testicular torsion is just sleeping wrong. That literally happened to me yesterday. Woke up with agonizing pain causing me to vomit 4 times. Had to go to A&E and got surgery done. Only just got home a couple hours ago. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. Female hyenas have pseudo-penises that they give birth through. You forgot to mention it has a chance of it breaking and killing her. Chemically, it's much easier to detect carbon than it is to detect oxygen. A consequence of this fact is that when you feel an urge to breathe, what your body is really doing is alerting you to a buildup of carbon dioxide in your blood, not an absence of oxygen. This means if you were to replace the air around you with 100% nitrogen, your body wouldn't even notice. It wouldn't warn you, because it would no longer be producing carbon dioxide. You would just get sleepy and never wake up. Edit to add, as of January 2024, Alabama has begun using this as an execution method for the death punishment. On average 22 veterans a day commit suicide. The military is a career with one of the highest suicide rates. Butterflies prefer blood, sweat, and tears to pollen and nectar. The US Intercontinental Ballistic Missile Detection System can accurately identify a missile launch in about a minute. Russia claims that it has a comparable system. However, US intelligence believes that the Russian system is far less reliable and can falsely identify mundane objects and occurrences as a missile launch. Additionally, once a nuclear launch has been detected, correctly or not, a civilization-ending retaliation can be initiated and unavoidable in under an hour. Short version, we are never more than 60 minutes away from a misidentified weather balloon leading to human extinction. You can literally die from almost anything. Sneezing, your ribs collapse. Fall damage, you get brain injury and die if you fall on your face. Going out for a walk, some idiot drunk driver crashes into you. Living in a small country, tsunamis exist. Going on a flight, plane crash. Going on a boat, drowning. You're healthy, you still get cancer. Literally existing, living a happy life. You get a heart attack and die. Smoking, lung cancer. Going to a restaurant for a date, food poisoning because your ex works there and they are mad. Outdoors on a rainy day, thunder strike you. Going out on a car ride, kerosene starts playing. while you're on the highway. Rest in peace to you, buddy. Having a peaceful life hiding away from the war. Someone finds you. Go on social media. Some sicko tracks you down. Then you're dead. Married, have 2 kids, and are happy with life. Some random ass hitman is hired to come for you. Eating too much junk food. Death because of the grease in the food. I know that life is full of ups and downs, but the fact that we have to fear for everything isn't fun. If you're not aware, you can die very easily. Edit. My little sister saw this post. She's 11 and argued with me about it all. Now she's telling me about how we are supposed to live based on God's will. Lord help me. The same guy invented both leaded petrol and CFCs. Not sure if there is another single individual in history who caused more damage to the environment. Living a healthy lifestyle, eating right and exercising, buys you the slowest rate of death possible, at best. I work with the elderly and a 95-year-old woman mumbled that this is what I get for being healthy, still here. Your immune system basically ignores your eyes. If for whatever reason your immune system becomes aware of the existence of your eyes, it can attack them and potentially cause severe damage. This is quite simplified, but if you're interested, look up ocular immune privilege. It's fascinating stuff. Most mental illnesses can be hereditary. It's one reason I'll never have kids. I wouldn't have believed this though, until my dad had a breakdown February 7th and wrote a suicide note. I'd been the only one in the family with mental illness previously. We've lived half of our subjective experience of life by the time we are 18 years old. It's why our childhoods felt so long and time feels like it goes by faster as we get older. No matter what you do here on Earth in the time you have, it all disappears eventually. There is no part of you whatsoever that will live on after you die, and the material things you amassed will fade and deteriorate. The people you made connections with and potentially shared a life with will all either forget you ever existed or die themselves. Given enough time, even your bones and the coffin you rest in dissipates into nothing. There is absolutely nothing about this life that has immortal values. Everything you have ever interacted with has an expiration date, including yourself. The first suicide hotline was created after a man attended the funeral of a teenage girl. She had killed herself after she got her period for the first time and assumed it to be an STD, since no one talked about periods at the time. Basically nothing you do online is private, incognito mode included. Left-handed people used to get forced to learn to be right-handed, as they were seen as being associated with evil and the devil. With me being left-handed, I couldn't imagine being forced to learn to write or do other things with my right hand. I've tried to teach myself. That shit is hard. My mum used to work as the manager of a domestic violence charity organization. I remember a while ago she told me that if you went into a shop or you just simply walked down the street, you would brush shoulders with so many victims who would eventually be murdered by a partner or children, or who were currently suffering violence every day. It sounds kinda obvious, but I always think about it. She had to handle some truly horrific cases. Horses have 350-degree vision. They have a 5-degree gap at the front of their sight and a 5-degree gap at the back of their sight. If you stand directly behind them, they don't see you. And that is what triggers the kick reaction. For people who are religious, there are plenty of priests that don't believe in a god or afterlife at all for that matter, but take up the career because of the impact it has on people, making people feel good, doing ethical things, following principles to be a good person, etc. When a blue whale ejaculates, they release 400 gallons of baby maker. Only 10% makes it to the female, so the other 360 gallons are left in the ocean. That explains the salt. Some tumors grow hair and teeth. Sounds like my neighbor. If a cup of hot grease fell on your face, you would die once you began screaming in pain and the grease entered your mouth, burning your throat shut until you could no longer breathe, most likely before emergency medical intervention. I asked a doctor because I dodged a cup of hot grease that was aiming for my face. It only got my arm and leg. I have scars but nothing major. Pay attention in the kitchen. You could have an enlarged blood vessel in your brain without knowing it, and when it bursts, if it does, you won't know what happened, aka brain aneurysm. It's only when they determine your cause of death that they figure it out. The cannibal Albert Fish described human meat tasting closest to pork. Jeffrey Dahmer said it tasted like beef, or more specifically filet mignon. And an extra personal theory, Albert ate children as young as toddlers whilst Jeffrey ate teens to young adults. So I'm wondering if the age makes a big change on the flavor. Brain death takes 12 minutes. Bodies buried in coffins putrefy, and sometimes the gases in the gut cause them to explode. Cremated bodies are a mix of various corpses, as they have multiple bodies. To cremate they really can't specify who is who. That is the same for pets. They put more than one pet in at a time. Sorry to break that to you. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.